sure to record said panel and try to shoot the audio over to you guys real quick so we can post that on the site as well.
Awesome. So we'll have first-hand, boots-on-the-ground account of what's going on at the Walking Dead panel. That's fantastic.
Sure.
An exclusive interview with Herschel's leg.
Yeah. I'm excited for Comic-Con, though. I mean, The Walking Dead for the past few years has always done a really good job of having very creative booth setups in the exhibition hall. They have, like last year was the prison. They had a whole prison set up with people as walkers inside, and you go in and see that and see previews from the show and everything.
Didn't you do that on Zombie Survival Run as well, where you get chased by zombies? And...
Yeah, so 2 years ago now, that was The Walking Dead Escape, which will be making its return to Comic-Con. I think this year it's been kind of touring around the country, actually, where they set up an obstacle course where you run through an obstacle course of zombies, and they have it set up to look all kind of, post-apocalyptic, all messed up worlds and everything, and there's people dressed as walkers, and they're trying to, grab onto you as you're running through this giant maze, and it's essentially, it's like a mud run, but instead of mud, you have zombies. And it's
nice.
It could be, it could be very fun, or it could be terrifying either way. I had a lot of fun when I did it, though. I got a limited edition version of the 100th issue comic one by completing said race, so it's certainly worthwhile.
Sweet.
Nice. One of these days I'll make it back. I really do enjoy Comic-Con. The one and only time I was there, so I hope to get back there at some point. I think if I went, though, I know it's a little off topic, but it'll be a short show anyway. I think if I went back, I would probably skip Saturday, just because it's just so insane.
Certainly, if you're trying to do the kind of Hall H, which is the largest hall in there, kind of see the big movie showcases that they have or whatnot. The exhibit hall, I mean, it's crowded, and Comic-Con's crowded in general for sure. But I mean, there's lots of stuff to do. There's plenty to do in the area.
Yeah.
All that's going on.
Now, you at the point where to get into Hall H, you pretty much have to camp out overnight or first thing in the morning, or do you know people that know people kind of thing, or?
It's a mix of both. Either I'm getting there really early, or I'm meeting people in line with some kind of desserts or breakfast treat to be like, hey, here we are, and I brought bagels or whatever. So thanks for holding my spot.
Seems fair.
Yeah.
Well, we're not the only Walking Dead focus show to have an intern episode. We did get a July 4th edition of The Talking Dead with Chris Hardwick and Aisha Tyler and Scott Gimple, which was kind of interesting.
Scott M. Gimple.
Pardon me, Scott M. Gimple. Yeah.
I always think it's funny that Chris Hardwick always calls him Scott M. Gimple. Maybe that's just because his credits are, but anyway, that just always makes me laugh.
But I thought the show was kind of it was kind of a mixed bag. I mean, there was stuff on it that was cool. It was kind of cool when Scott Gimple was kind of talking about the process, like they have the roadmap, they have the 12 episode, they have everything planned out, what beats they want to hit or whatever, but they also leave room, explore different things that they might want to write about. But they've pretty much, I think he said all of them written except for the last 4 or 5, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's what he
yeah.
I thought they certainly know where they're going. That's what he said for sure. He knows what the arc of the season is, whatnot. But in terms of writing every episode out, they're almost there.
And kind of in a weird way, kind of acknowledge that Negan will be used at some point in the storyline. They're going to get to that. And he did. I also like the fact the part when he was talking about how they find that there are things their story beats in the comic that end up being translated different ways into the show. Kind of like the Grove. They use this example, which is kind of a similar thing happened in the book, but in a much different context.
It's certainly something we've acknowledged on this show of how the show veers in and out of what the comic timeline is. So it's it's mixing things up so it doesn't feel too easy to predict or whatnot from a person that reads the comics perspective versus a show that's doing its own thing and trying to keep itself fresh to an extent.
Right.
And I understand that they really can't really spoil anything or give too much away or show too much from the season coming up because they have a long way to go till October and everything. But I don't know. I thought we could have gotten a little bit more than just Carol and Tyrese and Judith running from some walkers in the woods.
It's the kind of thing where I'm watching, Russ told me about, or Russ sent the email about there's a thing going on Talking Dead, and maybe we'll check it out and talk about it. I was like, all right, but I was never expecting to get anything more than some kind of vague glimpse of what was happening, and Hardwick teasing out stay tuned for a special preview of season 5. I'm like, this can't be anything more than Rick walking through a shadow or Tyrese holding a hammer while Walker approaches behind him. It's there's nothing's gonna happen that's gonna really dictate where the season's going. So,
I didn't expect anything to be huge things to be spoiled, but I maybe expect a little more than what was given.
Yeah, certainly it'd be nice. Yeah.
It's a tough deal because if they show something, if there's a major character death at some point, and then they show a group area or group photo or something like that, and then somebody's missing, then people are going to speculate, or maybe word gets out or something like that. They're in a tough spot. But I thought that I would have liked to see more. If you're going to show Tyrese, Carol, and Judith, maybe they could have showed a little bit more. I don't know. I felt like part of me should have known that was what they were going to do because Talking Dead is really good about hyping up a lot of stuff, and then when they kind of let the cat out of the bag about whatever it is, it tends to be a little underwhelming. But given the whole episode, they he just kept hyping it up about the scene, and then we get 30 seconds of them basically hiding from walkers, which you could almost take that scene out and insert it into any other season, and you wouldn't even know. There wasn't anything really specific about season 5 that I felt like that clip told us.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to keep in mind is Comic-Con is coming, and that means that the trailer for season 5 is going to debut. So we're gonna that's the hour after that happens at the panel, it's going to be online. So it's
sure.
This is a big teaser for what we're going to see plenty more of in 2 weeks time maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One thing I thought was interesting is they interviewed the actor that played Gareth, and Hardwick kind of asked him, if he feels like Gareth is closer to Rick or closer to the governor, and he said he felt like he was closer to Rick, that he feels like he knows he's just trying to do the right thing in his own way. So that has me really intrigued. I have a feeling that the open of season 5 isn't going to go quite exactly as people think it may. That it may not be some kind of all-out crazy battle that happens. That something's going to happen to maybe intervene in the middle. But that makes me more excited because I don't want to see. We just came off a season where, or 2 seasons depending how you look at it, where the character of the governor was there and basically even though he didn't start out that way, became a psychopath and a murderer and just what he did to the group. I don't really want to see another character like that so soon. So the fact that he's maybe more 2-dimensional than maybe the governor ended up being, I think is probably a good thing.
I think it's certainly implying that we're going to be in Terminus for not necessarily a long time, but a substantial portion of the early half of the season.
Right.
Let alone, I'm very curious how people think that the 4th season left off on a cliffhanger as opposed to just a setup for the next step in the show. Because I really don't think we're going to pick up right at back of the train car right away. And if anything, we'll maybe pick up a few days later with them dealing with the situation they're in and submitting to whatever kind of enslavement they might be in, or process of ingratiating them to the world of Terminus or something like that.
That's interesting.
I think after the half season we just got there, we're about due for some big conflict. With that big crescendo against the governor at the prison, everything went to hell. Now we had time where a bunch of regrouping and kind of like a reaffirmation of these characters and all coming back to Terminus. I think we're about ready for another big conflict. Another whether that's all out war against the Terminus people or not, remains to be seen. But I think we're ready for a new villain to take the stage, as it were.
I think that's what the wild card that Tyrese and Carol represent is of them being outside still and whatever kind of contact they can make with Rick and the gang while they're inside the wall determine is. That's what leaves me most intrigued, I guess, about where the season's going to be going, beyond, of course, seeing cannibal action take place.
Yeah. See, it's funny you say that, Aaron, because I think it's going to pick up exactly where this season 4 left off. I think we're going to start in the car, but I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where it's going. Yeah, there's a lot to leave up to speculation at this point. So I'm curious where it goes, but it's just if Gareth is a part of the cast to a point, like it's like how does that work in this? So,
right.
Yeah.
And we still have Beth out there somewhere allegedly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He addressed that, didn't he? Didn't he be able to address
he was not.
He was not about Beth necessarily, but he addressed the where were they? The mortuary, I guess, the church they're in, and what they had like a deleted thing involving more information about the guy that was doing stuff with the human, like this, doing taxidermy or whatever you want to call it, on the bodies that were left and still looked decent and whatnot. There's a little information out there.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. That can lead us into probably the Blu-ray actually, because there will be deleted scenes on there.
Cool. Let's talk about that. We get the 4th season Blu-ray sitting in the stands. You can read about it at whitesoblue.com, one of the sites that Aaron writes for. The special edition Blu-ray looks really keen. Did you guys see that? I think there's a picture of it available on our Facebook group actually. If you go to the Walking Dead TV Facebook group.
The tree zombie.
Yes, the wonderful tree zombie. Who could forget? The poignant character.
It's certainly one of those iconic ones because like season 2 was the zombie that got the screwdriver stuck in his head. It's like that's just one episode. So, like they always have that one special walker that stands out.
Right.
We'll wait for the 10-year anniversary of Walking Dead when we get the Buster Zombie Blu-ray set for the first season, of course.
Yeah, I wonder. It's funny because season 3 was obviously the aquarium heads, and so this one is the tree zombie. I'm curious, like, what do you think they do when the show is over and they do the ultimate set that's all inclusive? I mean, we saw Breaking Bad. They used the barrel. I'm curious what they. I mean, obviously the show still has quite a bit of life left in it, but I'm just curious what they do as some kind of grand set piece to house everything in it.
Maybe all in one big coffin.
Maybe we haven't really seen coffins in the series.
Yeah, that's true.
If anything, maybe like
prison.
The prison would be cool. Maybe the that pilot episode where with the doors that say like don't come in here or whatever. Like just
dead inside.
Like a disc vault, you open up when you open those doors. Or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe who knows? Terminus might have some kind of memorable aspect that can make it work as a container set.
Although depending on how long the show lasts and who you listen to, physical media may be dead at that point, and it's all moot.
Yeah, but as we know from The Walking Dead, the dead will rise, so we'll still get it. So, maybe it'll be like a walker, like it's like midsection, and you open up, it's like its chest, and it's like it's all
that would be awesome.
Be
awesome. It was funny too how they're saying as the shows got more popular and they're filming around Atlanta, they've had problems where there's just people that show up to watch them film, and so he didn't come out right and say it, but he made it seem like to me at least that they had to go in and maybe like digitally remove people because they were being pain in the asses and hanging outside of public areas or whatever, with, depending on which way the cameras were facing.
It comes to territory, planes and other noises and people in the background of the Walking
Dead. Yeah.
So the zombie paparazzi.
Something I want to point out about Scott Gimple, Scott M. Gimple in general, he's very personable. I think that's something that's very clear about his personality. I especially watching Talking Dead and just seeing how interactive he is. I can't say that Glenn Mazar. I remember his presence. I know he sounds like he's got an accent and everything. I have a feel for what Glenn Mazar was like, but it seems like part of the process of these revolving showrunners as it stands is that the show has finally found someone that can both seem to guide the series in a way that's proven to be effective since this season was probably more claimed than previous seasons, regardless of any of our thoughts on it overall. I think it's certainly reached a point where people seem very comfortable with the show, and he's a person that can kind of handle the PR aspect of it. And I think that's something that kind of is important given how interactive Walking Dead seems, having its own talk show after the damn show airs and everything, and that's something that very much comes through. I think.
Right.
He's a big geek. Like you hear him and Aisha and Chris Hardwick. They have a very great rapport together, and that seems very noticeable.
Yeah. He won me over when he made the Lone Wolf and Cub reference.
Yes.
Whoa, okay, this guy is a real geek. Okay.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, I found interesting. We had a comment, so I posted up on the Facebook group. Hey, we're recording, just kind of last minute if anybody had anything. And Mike Jones put up a comment asking us if we had anything to say about the spinoff. And I mean, we talked about our what we think or hope or want for the spinoff series, but it seems like, and maybe there'll be an announcement at Comic-Con, maybe that's why it's been so quiet. But it seemed like that thing kind of ran hot for a little bit, and then there's been like a long period of no news. But the one interesting bit of news I found was Scott M. Gimple, Scott M. Gimple. Was interviewed somewhere, and he said that he has no involvement in the spinoff. Like he's not show running or exec producing or anything. The spinoff, which I thought was interesting. I guess being a showrunner, I imagine all of your attention has to go on the show that you're working on. But I was curious if there's going to be any bleed over there. But I guess Kirkman and Gale Ann Hurd, I guess, are probably. I'm assuming Nicotero as well are probably going to maybe do double duty between the two shows. But I just found that interesting.
That certainly seems to be the case. I think looking at something like Breaking Bad, which has its Better Call Saul spinoff happening, that's coming after Breaking Bad has ended. So Vince Gilligan can move, showrunner of that show, creator Vince Gilligan can move on from there, and he can also still be like a producer on that just because he's had a hand in creating that character and the world that goes around it. Something like The Walking Dead, it's not Gimple's baby; it's Robert Kirkman's baby essentially. So it seems more of his business to be involved in that show rather than Gimple, who is already probably having as tough a time as he can to make sure that he has his current show working as well as it does.
I definitely think we're going to see something at Comic-Con about the spinoff, even if it's just some like a little teaser trailer with some title card art or something. I think we're definitely going to see something at Comic-Con.
It seems like the best place to debut something like that, especially since we had the news of spinoff like a year and a half ago, maybe.
Yep.
We've had quite a long time to deal with the idea of it existing in some form.
Yeah, and they have been in production long enough to at least have something to cut even into a teaser trailer or whatever.
If Marvel can announce phase 3 of their films, and we can get like a hint of what the spinoff of Walking Dead's going to be.
Right.
Yeah, and he was pretty non-committal about like a crossover and stuff like that too. He's just like, hey, that's their baby. I'll be open to do whatever they want to do, but I don't really have anything to share, about what they're doing with that show. So, I mean, he did come out and say, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be about like Daryl's cousin or something like that. So, he may have some knowledge, but it just sounds like for the most part they're kind of developing that off apart from him. And granted, especially this time of year, I mean, he's probably busier than all get out. I mean, between filming, editing, writing, promotions, Comic-Con coming up, I mean, he's got to be just 20-hour day man right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would think it would behoove them to have a different showrunner and probably different production staff on the other show. Rather
surely Nicotero has plenty of proteges that have followed his work, so we can continue to get the quality Walker gore entertainment factor that you get from the show.
Right.
Well, speaking of Greg Nicotero, he won a Saturn Award, the George Powell Memorial Award. Saturn Awards are for
genre-based.
The science fiction and fantasy awards. But he couldn't make it to the ceremony, but he filmed a really cool clip that's also available on our Facebook group if you want to check it out. It was pretty funny. He not only had some good zombie kills in the acceptance speech, but he shouted out Pittsburgh. So I was very pleased. But again, it's available on our Facebook group, The Walking Dead TV Podcast. You can see it there. It's a pretty funny video.
Awesome. And I guess Melissa McBride, Gimple was saying, won a Saturn Award too for best, was it supporting actress, I think?
Yeah, I believe we mentioned that on our commentary episode. Actually, that's very true. Yeah, she did win a Saturn Award for her performance on Walking Dead, which is well deserved from our perspective. I think she did a terrific job.
Yeah,
absolutely. One thing we do know that's going to be announced at San Diego Comic Con, I think it's pretty cool, are these Walking Dead. They're called Walking Dead blocks from McFarlane Toys. They aren't blocks like Legos or what have you. They're more blocks like city blocks. They're like little self-contained like dioramas, play sets or whatever you want to call them. There's one that's going to include Daryl and his chopper. There's one at the governor's room in the prison tower. They're going to be the same. They're going to be set in the same scale as the figures they've already released, and come with their own zombies and if you look at the pictures, I'll post them on the Facebook group. If you look at the pictures, it just looks like the sets pretty much from The Walking Dead. You have the prison tower and the detail, of course, because they're McFarlane Toys, is insane. But yeah, they look really cool. And they're going to be debuting in San Diego this year.
Nice. Now, do we know one of the things, just when they're showing some behind-the-scenes stuff, and with Hardwick on set, and they interviewed a bunch of folks on that special, it looked like Nicotero, I heard him say cut or something like that. Do we know if he's filming, if he's the director on the pilot, or not the pilot, but the premiere episode of season 5?
I don't think we have that knowledge, but I'm sure he's directing a couple episodes as he's done.
Yeah, I was curious if, I tried doing some searching and I didn't see anything that had been publicly released, so I was curious. So we've been pretty favorable to Greg Nicotero directed episodes in general.
Yeah, which are generally more character-focused episodes, which seem to happen.
Oh, another, I guess, reported thing that I heard, it was an interview with Norman Reedus, and he was talking about, characters dying, and I know there's been a lot of, crazy rumor stuff that Daryl dies this season, or in the opener or something like that. There's been a lot of craziness. But he said, I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically, if they kill me off on the show, you'll definitely know it, because I'll probably, burn down my trailer. So if during filming you see, a trailer, or, a big fire off in the distance somewhere, then you'll know I got clipped off the show or something like that, which I thought was kind of funny.
It was if a million Dixon's Vixens all cried out, and then were silenced.
Yes. That's good. I like when I hear stuff like that, because sometimes you can never tell with some of these actors where it's is it genuine or is it just a job? And I mean, to some degree, I don't really blame them too much if it's hey, this is just a job I do. I get up, I go to work, this is what I do, and I like to be challenged. I like to do different things, so it's not a big deal. But when somebody goes out of their way of being so elaborate and so specific about how they feel about getting cut out of a show, that shows me that they that there's something there and something genuine and not just hey, I'm just showing up to collect my paycheck.
It's gotta be a blast for him though to be on such a popular show. He's one of the most popular characters on the show.
Yeah.
It's just got to be a total blast for him to do, And granted, they're probably sweating their, respective butts off down there in Atlanta or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. It's got to be incredibly gratifying to know that you have that big of an audience and that big of a following, and that you're an integral part of that story, and that people care about your character, so much as they do and everything. So even beyond the pretty large paycheck, I'm sure they get for it. So.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure doesn't hurt.
Nope. Now there weren't. I think were they just nominated for one Emmy? That was it out of the whole. And wasn't it some kind of special effects Emmy? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So nothing. Kind of discouraging. I mean, I think some of the performances are worthy of nomination. But I think I don't know. It just seems odd. The Emmys this year in general seemed just kind of odd. I thought. I mean, Orphan Black got shut out, which I thought was kind of a travesty.
There's a whole other discussion we can talk about the Emmys and what's not in there versus what it is, but suffice to say, I wasn't expecting Walking Dead to get major nominations. Maybe obviously the effects ones make a lot of sense. Perhaps even I don't know some direction ones, just because I do think regardless of the plotting of the show, I think that the production of it's certainly always solid. So that's something that could get recognized, along with the fact that it is one of the more popular shows on television. So it's the kind of thing. It is a show about zombies, so I think that might turn off a lot of Emmy voters however that process works.
Sure. What else? What else do we have to talk about? Commentaries. So we had the poll. We've done a commentary on The Grove. I think the second place vote getter was Claimed, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. That sounds right.
Yes. So
which one is Claimed?
That was the one where Daryl runs with the gang. Claimed.
Yeah.
Claimed.
That's okay. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, okay. What's the subplot in that one? I'm trying to think.
So, like I said, next episode I'm sure will be Comic-Con related news, trailer news. Aaron will give us his first-hand account. I think after that, we'll definitely do another commentary. I'm sure between now and October we'll have several commentaries. I think one of the things we wanted to do, and we typically do this every off-season or try to, is get in some kind of comic-focused episode. And one of the ones we've been toying around with doing, and I've fallen a little bit behind on the comic as of late, so I'm itching to catch up, and this will be a good excuse to get caught up. But they did the 12-part All-Out War recently, and there's been a lot of talk about this character of Negan, and that story deals with him heavily. So, Jim, have you read All-Out War yet? Are you caught up with that?
I'm not. I get them in trades, so I am behind.
Aaron, have you kept up with All-Out War?
I'm behind as well because I read the hardcovers when they come out.
Cool. So we'll see what we can do about getting caught up, all of us, or as many of us as we can. And then it's 12 issues, so unless it's just like balls to the walls action from start to finish, it may be 2 episodes. Depending if we can maybe kind of sum it up and talk about it, maybe we'll just do one. But I'm actually anxious to talk about that. I think that's kind of been the biggest thing in the comics that's happened in quite some time. I mean, the comic went semi-monthly during that run, and Adler did the pencils on all of it. He just switched off with different inkers, which I thought was pretty crazy. So I'm really curious to read that and get caught up. So sometime between August and October, we'll definitely have that. And then, like always, as we get closer to the air date, more and more news is going to come out, more and more videos are going to come out, interviews, etc. And we'll probably pick up the pace a little bit on episodes coming out. And then, of course, once the season starts in October, we'll be back to being weekly, and all will be well with the World of the Walking Dead TV podcast once again.
Claimed is the episode where Rick encounters that group of people for the first time and sneaks away from them stealthily. And we also meet we meet Abraham and the gang. Like we kind of interact with them for the first time after we see them. That's Claimed.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, because I remember Claimed. It was like, is that the name of the episode too? It's like, really? They really burnt that into the ground by naming it Claimed. But yeah, show can't come back too soon enough, I guess. So get the show back on the...
All right, now it's time to pay the bills at the Walking Dead TV podcast. This episode, as always, is sponsored by Discount Comic Book Service. That's DCBService.com, where you can save a ton of money on all your new comics, trades, graphic novels, and cool tchotchkes, especially if you're into The Walking Dead. They've always got posters, t-shirts, statues, all kinds of really cool stuff related to The Walking Dead on sale over at DCBService.com. This month, a special note, Walking Dead Hardcover 10, which is going to spotlight All Out War. So if you want to grab that in anticipation for our upcoming coverage of All Out War, definitely pick that up as well as all new Marvel trade paperbacks and hardcovers are all 50% off, as they are every month. There are tons of special deals on a lot of number ones that are 50% off, and tons of other discounts available. So head on over to the website, dcbservice.com. Again, if you're into the digital comics, you can link your Comixology account and earn 5% back, which is always great. And as well as check out their sister site, InStock Trades. If you're just into trades and hardcovers and things like that, you can get plenty over there at instocktrades.com. So again, we thank Discount Comic Book Service, dcbservice.com, for their continued support of the Walking Dead TV podcast. Okay, so the last bit of business I think that we have is during the live YouTube show. That's why it's important, people. You should watch everything. We had a contest for those that participated in the show, whether it was just to say hi or ask a question or make a comment on the Google Hangout that we streamed over to YouTube Live, which was a lot of fun. And I think we'll probably do that again. I'm not sure when. Maybe for the premiere we may do that again. That was a lot of fun. I know people like kind of putting names with faces, and hopefully by then I'll have real adult internet and folks can see what I look like, as scary as that may or may not be. But we had several participants, and I'm just going to choose one at random, and the winner can contact me, and we will get them a copy of Rise of the Governor paperback signed by the author, and we will get it shipped out to them. So here we go. So the winner of the book is Everard Santamaria, longtime listener, contributor to the Facebook page. Congratulations. Everard, if you will email russ@hhwlod.com, I would be happy to reach out to you or send me a private message on Facebook or something like that. But russ@hhwlod.com, send me your physical address of where you want the book mailed to, and we will try and get that out to you shortly.
Congratulations. It's a cool prize.
Yeah, we still have a few more goodies in the prize bag, book-wise, for the Rise of the Governor stuff. So maybe between now and then, maybe we'll try and sneak another contest in there at some point. So keep an eye on the Facebooks, the Twitters, and of course the feed itself, and we'll try and do something cool for the next set of goodies that we have.
Sweet.
Cool.
Real quick before we go away, I wanted to mention on Netflix, there are a couple of documentaries if you're zombie inclined, you're really probably going to enjoy. The first is called Birth of the Living Dead, and it's all a documentary kind of detailing the creation of the original Night of the Living Dead by George Romero, which kind of started this whole modern zombie genre that we're such big fans of now. And the other one is called Dock of the Dead, and it's more of a look at the zombie in pop culture as it's kind of evolved from back in the, from being like a voodoo type thing into what we know of as considered zombies now. Both on Netflix, both worth watching if you're a zombie fan. I definitely would recommend them. There's also a documentary making the rounds on video on demand right now called The Image Revolution. I just watched it on video on demand, and the whole latter half of that movie, it's all about Image Comics, the publishers of The Walking Dead, and the latter like third or quarter of that movie is mostly about Robert Kirkman, about how he stuck to his guns and how he tricked Image into printing The Walking Dead to begin with, which is kind of a cool story. It was interesting and well worth watching. It's called The Image Revolution.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I haven't been able to check out the Of the Dead docs yet, but I really want to. It's on the top of my list for a bit now.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess I'm going to try and post this up ASAP, so hopefully it won't be too late. But AMC is doing another one of their behind-the-scenes thing. And I think on the 15th of July, they're doing the one on, I think it's the Zombie School, where they kind of go behind the scenes of how they, do the makeup and the effects and go through the whole Zombie School process. And I think Chris Hardwick is going to play a big part in that, so you might keep an eye out for that. And the other documentary, or the other behind-the-scenes, I think that dove into season 5 actually missed that one, so I'm sure AMC will be replaying all that stuff. So keep an eye out on AMC for that stuff as well.
Cool.
Anybody else got anything else?
I can add something real quick. It's not Walking Dead related necessarily, but it is post-apocalyptic related. Just because I've been watching the TV series Falling Skies for the past few years now, and that's returned. It's currently on TNT, and that's the Alien Invasion series. And I'm covering it just like I cover The Walking Dead in written form on a weekly basis. I'm doing that for theyoungfolks.com. And I just want to throw out there that I really enjoy the show. Every chance, every time it comes back for like the summer for like 10 weeks or whatever, it continues to impress me. And does certain things better than The Walking Dead. Walking Dead does a lot of things better than Falling Skies. Like, and none of them are really nailing the post-apocalyptic world aesthetic perfectly. Something like, I don't know, Mad Max or something like that. But I mean, they certainly have their pluses. And Falling Skies is just one for people that are in between things. Walking Dead not being on right now, if they want a fix of that kind of nature, that's certainly a show that I recommend. I
watched season 1 and then I fell behind, and I know it's on Amazon Instant Prime seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to get caught up because I like Noah Wiley, and I like what I saw of season 1. I guess if we're kind of AMC related, I guess since we're closing out, I'll go a little off topic, but still AMC related. Have you guys been watching *Halt and Catch Fire*?
I have.
No.
It's pretty good. It's definitely steeped in the 80s, so there's a lot of cool references, and I was a young geek just getting into computers and technology right around that time, so it's kind of cool just to see how antiquated things were and just how the state of computers in 1983 was. I mean, it's really interesting.